They'll be talking about how fat folks need love too shit. We get with him. They get to doing skinny bits she like, I'm not putting up with no extra weight. These words appeared on Michaela Davis's Facebook page on December 10th, 2024. Hours later, she posted again. From now on, you can't be no bigger than me, and I ain't but 135 pounds. Being honest, 133 pounds, baby. So bring your scale to my DM. I'm not doing this shit no more. 6 weeks later, on January 29th, 2025, Jackson police responded to a call on Woodway Drive. They discovered a woman's body with 4 gunshot wounds. The victim was Kanasia Bowie, Michaela's partner. What pushes someone from typing cruel comments to pulling a trigger? The line between online hatred and physical violence isn't as wide as we might hope. In this case, body shaming didn't end with hurtful comments. It escalated into something far deadlier. The digital footprint Michaela left behind reveals a disturbing progression that ended with Kanasia's life cut tragically short. The story of Kanasia and Michaela makes us question relationships, body image, and how everyday harassment can escalate to violence. Have you ever witnessed online bullying take a dangerous turn in real life? Drop a comment below sharing your experience. Your story might help others recognize the warning signs before it's too late. Welcome back to Crazy Dark Files, where we examine the darkest corners of human behavior to understand what drives people to commit unthinkable acts. This case takes us to Jackson, Mississippi, where a relationship deteriorated from social media mockery to murder in a matter of weeks. This story contains disturbing elements of body shaming, psychological abuse, and ultimately violence. It's a stark reminder of how quickly toxic attitudes can escalate when left unchecked. We have more crazy cases to bring to light. Subscribe to our channel and turn on the notification bell so you never miss any case. Kanasia Bowie was more than just a headline or a statistic. To those who knew her in Jackson, Mississippi, she was a young woman with dreams, relationships, and a future that was violently cut short. She was known for her warm smile and willingness to help others. Friends recall her as someone who would give you her last dollar if you needed it. Jackson, Mississippi provided the backdrop for Kanasia's life. The city, known for its rich cultural heritage and complex social dynamics, is like many American urban centers, a place where close-knit communities exist alongside significant economic challenges. In this environment, Kanasia navigated life like many young adults, maintaining friendships, pursuing relationships, and establishing her identity. She was active on social media, where she shared moments of her life and connected with others, including Michaela Davis. What made Kanasia vulnerable wasn't any particular risk factor or lifestyle choice. It was simply being in a relationship with someone whose insecurities and prejudices turned violent. She was just living her life, one friend told local reporters after her death. Nobody deserves what happened to her. The 100 block of Woodway Drive, where Kanasia's body was found, is a residential area like countless others across America. Neighbors described hearing gunshots that January evening but didn't immediately recognize them as such, a common reaction in communities where violence isn't an everyday occurrence. What makes Kanasia's story particularly touching is its preventability. Her death represents not just the loss of an individual life, but a collective failure to recognize and intervene when dangerous attitudes began manifesting online. Kanasia Bowie and Michaela Davis first connected through mutual friends at an LGBTQ event in Jackson in early 2024. Their initial attraction seemed genuine. Photos from those first months show them smiling, arms wrapped around each other, projecting the image of a happy couple. But beneath that carefully constructed social media facade, troubling patterns appeared almost from the beginning. They seemed good together at first, recalled a friend who asked to remain anonymous. But Michaela always had these comments about people's looks, especially weight. She'd say things under her breath when heavier people walked by. Kanasia would look uncomfortable but never confronted her about it. The relationship progressed quickly. Within 2 months, they were spending most nights together, alternating between their apartments. By summer 2024, they were essentially living together at Michaela's place. This rapid progression left little time for Kanasia to recognize the red flags that were becoming increasingly apparent to those around them. Text messages recovered from Kanasia's phone reveal a disturbing pattern. Michaela frequently commented on what Kanasia ate, sent her thin inspiration photos, and tracked her workouts. One message from July read, "You skipped gym again? Don't come crying when none of your clothes fit." What friends found most concerning was how Michaela's fixation on weight seemed to intensify whenever she felt insecure about the relationship. When Kanasia spent time with other friends or family, Michaela would often respond with passive-aggressive comments about Kanasia's appearance or eating habits. "It was like she used weight as a weapon," explained another friend. Whenever she felt like she was losing control of Kanasia, she'd start in with the body comments. It was her way of keeping Kanasia off balance. By fall 2024, Kanasia had indeed gained some weight, approximately 15 pounds, according to those close to her. The cause was likely multifaceted: a new medication, stress from the relationship, and perhaps some emotional eating in response to Michaela's constant criticism. This physical change became Michaela's obsessive focus. A particularly revealing incident occurred at a Halloween party. When Kanasia arrived wearing a costume Michaela deemed too revealing for her size, witnesses overheard a heated argument in which Michaela told Kanasia she was embarrassing herself and should cover up until she lost the weight. Kanasia left the party in tears. What makes this case particularly disturbing is how Michaela's private criticisms eventually spilled into public forums. By December, she began making thinly veiled references to Kanasia's weight on social media. Though she never tagged Kanasia directly, the target of her posts was clear to anyone who knew them. Michaela's own appearance became an increasing focus as well. She posted frequent gym selfies, weight updates, and comparison photos. Her social media accounts transformed into showcases for her self-proclaimed physical superiority. The infamous December 10th posts about not dating anyone heavier than herself represented not a sudden shift, but the public culmination of months of private fixation. Phone records show that in the weeks before the murder, Kanasia had begun reaching out to friends about finding her own apartment again. She confided to one friend via text, "I can't take the comments anymore. Nothing I do is ever good enough." This message, sent just 10 days before her death, suggests Kanasia was planning to leave, a decision that may have escalated Michaela's controlling behavior to its fatal conclusion. What's particularly tragic about this relationship is how textbook the progression appears in hindsight. The isolation, the criticism, the public humiliation, and the escalation all followed patterns familiar to domestic violence experts. Yet, like many abusive relationships, it maintained a public facade that masked its dangerous reality. Control often precedes violence. When someone believes they have the right to dictate their partner's appearance, it reflects a fundamental lack of respect for that person's autonomy. That disregard can be a precursor to physical harm. For Kanasia, the relationship that began with promise in early 2024 would end in tragedy less than a year later. By December 2024, Michaela Davis's social media had transformed from typical personal updates to a digital battleground where she waged war against body fat, particularly her partners. The December 10th posts marked a significant escalation, moving from private criticism to public humiliation. Let's examine the first post in detail. "You all be talking about how fat folks need love too shit. We get with them, they get to doing skinny bitch shit, like I'm not putting up with no extra weight." This post reveals several disturbing elements. First, Michaela positions herself as someone who gave a larger person a chance. "We get with they, suggesting she viewed dating Kanasia as some kind of charitable act. Second, she complains about skinny bitch she, likely referring to behaviors she associated with thinner women that she felt entitled to from Kanasia. Finally, the declaration that she won't put up with no extra weight shows she viewed Kanasia's body as something she had authority to accept or reject. Her follow-up post hours later escalated further. "From now on you can't be no bigger than me, and I ain't but 135 pounds. Being honest, 133 pounds, baby, so bring your scale to my DM. I'm not doing this shit no more." Here, Michaela establishes explicit rules, not just for Kanasia, but apparently for anyone who might want to date her in the future. The demand to bring your scale to my DM transforms weight from a personal health matter into a relationship qualification. Most disturbing is her specific weight threshold, suggesting she was actively comparing her body to Kanasia's. Kanasia's online presence during this same period tells a different story. Her posts decreased in frequency and she stopped sharing photos of herself entirely after November. Friends noticed she became less responsive to messages and invitations, classic signs of isolation that often accompany abusive relationships. One friend did attempt intervention after seeing Michaela's December posts. In a private message to Kanasia, she wrote, "Are you okay? Michaela's posts seem aimed at you and they're not okay." Kanasia's response, "It's fine, she's just stressed about work," demonstrates the normalization that often happens in toxic relationships. As December progressed into January, the online hostility began manifesting in real-world incidents. Security footage from a local restaurant on January 7th shows Michaela and Kanasia in what appears to be an intense argument. Witnesses reported that Michaela loudly criticized Kanasia's food order, saying, "You really need that many calories?" before walking out, leaving Kanasia alone at the table. On January 15th, Kanasia's co-worker reported seeing Michaela waiting in the parking lot after Kanasia's shift, inspecting a fast food bag in Kanasia's car, and throwing it away before Kanasia arrived. Perhaps most telling was an incident at a mutual friend's birthday gathering on January 22nd, just 1 week before the murder. Multiple witnesses described Michaela announcing Kanasia's weight to the room, challenging others to guess it first, then revealing the number she had seen on their bathroom scale that morning. Kanasia left immediately, texting a friend, "I can't do this anymore." The progression from digital cruelty to real-world humiliation followed a clear trajectory. Each boundary Michaela crossed without consequence emboldened her to push further. The online posts served both as a weapon against Kanasia and as justification for Michaela's increasingly controlling behavior. Social media didn't create Michaela's fixation on weight, but it provided a platform where her toxic attitudes could be normalized and even celebrated. It allowed her to publicly establish her dominance over Kanasia while gathering social reinforcement for her behavior. However, Kanasia had always been proud of her body size. She had earlier posted, "Fat and proud, I don't care," on her Facebook status before all of these. The public humiliation she endured online was just the visible portion of what was becoming an increasingly dangerous relationship, one that would soon turn deadly. January 29th, 2025 began like many others for Kanasia Bowie. She arrived for her morning shift at a local healthcare facility where security cameras captured her entrance. Co-workers described her as quieter than usual, but otherwise giving no indication of the danger that awaited her. What they didn't know was that the previous night had marked a significant turning point. Phone records later revealed that Kanasia had made a call to a local apartment complex, inquiring about immediate availability. She had also contacted her sister, asking if she could stay for a while. These actions suggest Kanasia had finally decided to leave the relationship. During her lunch break, Kanasia updated her Facebook relationship status from "in a relationship" to "single," a digital declaration of independence that triggered a cascade of events leading to her death. Within minutes, Michaela began calling Kanasia's phone. Over the next few hours, she called 27 times. Kanasia answered none of these calls. Instead, she texted Michaela, "We need to talk, but not now. I'll come get my things tonight." Surveillance footage from a gas station near Michaela's apartment shows her purchasing a bottle of vodka later that afternoon. Kanasia's car pulled into the parking lot of Michaela's apartment complex on Overwe Drive. A neighbor reported seeing her enter the building carrying an empty duffel bag. This neighbor also noted hearing raised voices approximately 20 minutes later, but didn't call authorities. What happened inside that apartment can only be pieced together through physical evidence and Michaela's subsequent statements to investigators. According to the police report, the apartment showed signs of Kanasia packing her belongings, drawers left open, clothes piled on the bed, and her toiletries gathered from the bathroom. The confrontation appears to have escalated in the bedroom, where investigators found a broken picture frame containing a photo of the couple. Glass shards on the floor suggested it had been thrown against the wall. A half-packed duffel bag lay on the bed, surrounded by Kanasia's clothing. Multiple neighbors reported hearing what sounded like firecrackers or loud bangs coming from the apartment. None called 911. Later, a different neighbor returning from work noticed the apartment door slightly ajar and what appeared to be blood on the doorframe. This neighbor immediately called 911, reporting what they saw. Police arrived to find Kanasia's body in the living room. She had been shot 4 times, twice in the torso, once in the arm, and a final shot to the head. Michaela Davis was no longer at the scene. The handgun, later identified as a 9M Glock registered in her name, was missing as well. Police immediately issued an alert for both Michaela and her vehicle. Just as news of the murder was breaking on local media, Michaela walked into the Jackson Police Department and surrendered herself. According to the booking officer, her first words were, "She disrespected me. She thought she could just leave." The gun was recovered from her vehicle in the police department parking lot. What state are you watching from? Drop a comment below. Your experiences might help others recognize warning signs before tragedy strikes. When officers responded to the 911 call at the Woodway Drive apartment, they encountered a scene that told a clear story of Kanasia's final moments. Her body victim was found in the living room. According to the police, the position of the body suggested she was attempting to flee the apartment when the final shot was fired. A trail of blood droplets led from the bedroom to the living room, showing that despite being wounded, Kanasia had attempted to escape. Investigators collected multiple shell casings, the broken picture frame, and Kanasia's phone, which contained the text history between her and Michaela. They also gathered fingerprint evidence from throughout the apartment and took samples of hair and fibers that later matched both women. The apartment complex's security cameras captured Kanasia's arrival and later Michaela's departure. The footage showed Michaela leaving the building approximately 20 minutes after the reported gunshots, carrying what appeared to be a small bag and walking with purpose to her car. The camera angle didn't capture her expression, but her body language showed no signs of panic or distress. While the crime scene investigation was underway, Michaela Davis walked into the police station and surrendered. Detective Brown described her demeanor as eerily calm during the initial booking process. She declined to speak with investigators without an attorney present, but made several unprompted statements that officers documented. "She was going to leave me for being honest about her weight," Michaela reportedly told the booking officer. And later, "I told her what would happen if she disrespected me." The gun recovered from Michaela's vehicle matched the ballistics from the crime scene. Residue tests confirmed she had recently fired a weapon, and her clothing contained microscopic blood spatter consistent with being present during the shooting. Perhaps most damning was the digital evidence. A search warrant for Michaela's phone and social media accounts revealed she had searched online for "how to make someone regret leaving you" and self-defense laws in Mississippi in the days before the murder. She had also taken screenshots of Kanasia's single status update and sent them to friends with messages like, "She's about to learn." Within 48 hours, the district attorney's office had enough evidence to charge Michaela Davis with first-degree murder. The charge reflected their belief that the killing was premeditated rather than a spontaneous act of rage. The evidence suggests Ms. Davis had been contemplating violence for some time. The social media posts, the searches on her phone, and the note left on the victim's body all point to someone who had decided in advance how this confrontation would end. The investigation also revealed that Kanasia had confided in her sister about Michaela's toxic behavior just days before her death. "She told me she was afraid of what Michaela might do if she tried to leave," the sister told investigators. "But she didn't think it would go this far." "None of us did." This statement underscored the tragic reality of many domestic homicides. The warning signs are often recognized too late, and the victim's fear of leaving becomes tragically justified. The public humiliation was a major warning sign. When someone deliberately embarrasses their partner in front of others, they're demonstrating a fundamental lack of respect and empathy. The monitoring of food and exercise shows an attempt to control basic bodily autonomy, a particularly invasive form of control. The rapid escalation of posts about weight indicated an intensifying obsession, suggesting Michaela's thoughts were becoming more consumed by this issue. The language in her final posts contained clear threats. Talking about consequences for disrespect is classic threatening behavior. This case highlights the importance of taking online threats and body shaming seriously. What begins as just words or just posts can be the visible portion of a much larger pattern of control and abuse. When we dismiss digital cruelty as less serious than physical abuse, we miss crucial opportunities for intervention. The murder of Kanasia Bowie offers critical lessons that extend far beyond this single case. Her story illuminates patterns that exist in countless relationships and provides actionable insights for prevention. Digital harassment serves as a powerful predictor of physical violence. Michaela's progression from Facebook posts to fatal gunshots wasn't random. It followed a trajectory that experts have documented in numerous cases. The public nature of her posts created a documented trail that could have triggered intervention had it been recognized. For those witnessing concerning online behavior, this case demonstrates why speaking up matters. The collective silence that greeted Michaela's increasingly hostile posts likely reinforced her sense of justification. Digital bystanders have power. Even a single challenging comment might have disrupted the echo chamber that normalized her harmful attitudes. Body shaming requires particular attention as a warning sign. Our culture often treats weight criticism as acceptable or even helpful, but Kanasia's case reveals how such criticism functions as a control mechanism. When someone consistently undermines their partner's physical appearance, they're establishing dominance, not showing concern. The most powerful lesson from Kanasia's story is that prevention was possible at multiple points. Her death wasn't inevitable. It resulted from escalating behavior that went unchallenged despite being publicly displayed. By recognizing these patterns and taking action, we can prevent similar tragedies and honor her memory through meaningful change. Michaela Davis has been charged with murder. Prosecutors have rejected plea deal offers, citing the premeditated nature of the crime. If convicted, she may face life imprisonment with or without parole. This case has established new legal precedents for how social media evidence can demonstrate both motive and intent in criminal proceedings. Prosecutors have successfully argued that Michaela's online history reveals a clear pattern of escalation, culminating in murder. In Jackson, Kanasia's death has catalyzed community action. The newly established Kanasia Bowie Foundation focuses on educating young people about healthy relationships and digital abuse warning signs. Their workshops have already reached hundreds of students across local high schools. Kanasia's family has chosen to speak openly about her story, transforming private grief into public education. If sharing what happened to Kanasia helps even one person escape a similar situation, then her death wasn't completely in vain, her sister explained at a recent foundation event. A memorial bench now sits in a Jackson park where Kanasia often spent time. The inscription reads, "In memory of Kanasia Bowie, may her story help others find safety and respect." Local residents regularly leave flowers at the site. The most significant legacy of this case may be the conversation it started about how online hatred translates to real-world harm. What began as cruel comments ended a human life. A stark reminder that digital words carry tangible consequences. As we conclude Kanasia's story, remember that similar dynamics are unfolding in relationships across the country right now. The warning signs that preceded her murder exist in countless interactions. By recognizing these patterns and taking them seriously, we all become part of the solution. If you've found value in this story, please take a moment to like this video, subscribe to Crazy Dark Files, and share this content with others who might benefit from these insights. Your engagement helps us continue bringing these important stories to light.